A lot of people might say that you get what you deserve in this life, but I don't really think that anymore. I used to think that, and I can understand where people are coming from with this, but I have grown to understand that we get what we believe in this life, and we get what we know. And it's not always going to be about knowledge, but it is going to be about how we can act on the knowledge that we have. And sometimes what we believe is going to be the most true, and what we have faith in is going to be the most true. Now, I distinguish the difference between belief and faith. Faith is having a inclination and an intuition, perhaps even, that something will happen, and trusting that instinct and that intuition. Belief, well, I can believe that these trees behind me are not trees. That doesn't make it true. But in life, when it comes to situations and such, you are going to get what you believe. And I am sure that there's some kind of scientific study on this. But one thing that I've realized is that the more firm you believe in yourself and in God and in your purpose and what you've got going for you, the more God is going to open doors of provisions that you might not have even known are even capable of being opened. Like, you don't even know what you don't know until you change your thought algorithms. I call them thought algorithms because that is going to be like, your mind is like an electromagnetic satellite. And so, since the brain is very like neuroplastic, right? It's very adaptable. If you can adapt, you can be like that electromagnetic satellite that can adapt to anything. Because that is, in many senses of the word, what you are. Because you're not really your body, but you're not really your mind either. And you're not really just one part of your soul or your spirit. You're the whole shebang, because the soul doesn't really have the opportunity to thrive without the experiences that we associate in the body. And the body cannot be pushed to its limits without, and disciplined in a certain way, without having the nurturing aspect of the soul. And what I want to talk about now that we've kind of laid the foundation here, because I don't really talk about things in a super concise manner. People that watch my channel, that watch my stuff, understand that this is a very nuanced form of language and perspectives that I have. And whenever I talk about things, I just let the Holy Spirit speak through me. And what I want to talk about today is new chapters. And if you are getting to a place where you believe like you're in a new chapter in this life, then I want you to type new chapter in the comment section below as an affirmation that you're about to go into a new chapter. Just telling yourself that you're about to enter into a new chapter, telling yourself that you are joyful, telling yourself, your self-talk is so important. Telling yourself and curating your reality with God is going to be the most important thing that you can learn how to do. A lot of people don't know the true power of curating and creating your reality with God, because they believe, whether consciously or unconsciously, that life is happening to them rather than with them and in them. When you understand that life is happening in you as well as outside of you, and that the world and everything in it, in this whole universe, is happening inside your mind. It's not happening out here. Now, you're happening inside the universe, and the universe is happening inside you, but more importantly, your relationship to God is happening inside you first. A lot of religions will think that Well, your whole purpose is to become a god. And even Christians, there are some aspects of like Mormonism, for example, that claim that your body, when it's resurrected on the other side of this life, that you're going to receive a new body. Now, I don't think that that's quite biblical. And the reason why is because I'm forgetting the Bible verse. I'm just thinking about this as I'm talking about it. So, oh man, what is that verse? I don't remember the exact name of the book or the chapter. It's either in the later part of the Old Testament no, it's definitely in the later part of the New Testament. But it talks about what's going to happen when Christ raises the dead, right? Somebody can probably put that verse in the comments here. But what happens when Christ will raise the dead, it's not so clear to me that we're going to get new bodies based off of that verse. It seems more like we're going to have our own bodies, but we're going to be enhanced to some degree. And this could happen in one of two ways, and I don't think it's always going to happen, or it's going to happen the way that many people think that it's going to happen. Now, of course, we can look to Scripture and see what's exactly going to be said in Scripture, but I don't think that we ought to make too many speculations on this, because quite frankly, like, does it matter right now? Like, we are bodies, like, we're trapped in matter. That's what I really want to say here, is we're trapped in matter. But we can use our minds to move beyond matter. We are ascending into spirit. We are trapped in matter, ascending into spirit. And so when you truly believe that you have a spirit, and you know it, you don't just believe it anymore. You understand that this is something that is a very much reality in your life. You start to see the world a bit different. You start to see people a bit different. You start to see even plants a bit different. And this is not some, hippy-dippy crap, New Age stuff. This is actual spirituality. That everything is a form of energy to some degree. And in physics as well, there's like energy can't be created or destroyed. It just is. And I think that to understand light, because we are absolutely interdimensional beings, and we are able to go into new chapters. Like, think about this. There was once a time in my life, like when I was in an isolation period with God, that chapter felt like it was going to last forever, honestly. And it wasn't because I was really lonely, even though that was an aspect, and I don't really get lonely anymore. I just am alone, and I'm not alone. Like, I'm either alone because there's no me without you, but there's also no me without God. And it's all an interchangeable and intertwined sequence. It's what I call the simulator, right? It's not the simulation, which is what a lot of people are in. They're in the simulation, but what we are in is in the simulator. Those that are understanding that we don't have to be a part of the matrix. We don't have to be a part of the simulation. We get to be a part of the simulator. And I think that's a good way to think about it as far as the thought algorithm goes. Because if your thought algorithms in your lonely chapters, right, or these dark chapters of your life are, I'm never going to get out, I can't do this, I'm very doubtful here, I'm really scared here, I'm this, I'm that, I'm shameful here, and some of that stuff, it's actually true. If it's true, that's actually good for you to recognize and to be able to move forward. But if it's not really true and it's not really beneficial, you need to cast that crap out. you need to get rid of it, because it's not going to help you. Those kinds of thoughts on this journey, it's not going to help you. And I say this because I've been there. I've wanted to be a victim in the past because there were times with my family in those dark chapters, and I went through an isolation period afterward for about a year and a half or so. And I went through an isolation period, and I didn't know how I was going to move forward. I didn't know how I was going to move beyond this superfluousness that I was experiencing in my relationships, in my finances, because I didn't have a healthy relationship with money at the time, and I didn't really have a good relationship with much at all. But it wasn't until I was able to go through that isolation period, and it was like God transformed everything super quickly inside of me. Like, as soon as I accepted Jesus Christ, so many things just started to change for the better immediately. It was profound, because it was like all of these roadblocks that I had been going through time and time again for the last 5 years. All of a sudden, it was okay. It was good. I didn't really have to worry about that kind of stuff. And it was being grounded in Jesus Christ that I was able to see the lack of banality of, I guess maybe it's not the lack of banality, it's more like the banality that is false teachings and illusions in the world. So it wasn't the lack of banality, it was the enhancing of my perception of seeing that there was actually a lot of banal qualities in people that they were claiming to be revolutionary or whatever. They were claiming to be supernatural or fantastic, and it's like, I'm not saying here that I am, I'm super special or whatever, but there are many times where you feel like God's only watching you, right? Like God's only with you. There are times when you feel like that, and that's just a sign that you're developing a relationship to Him. It's not actually the case, obviously, because the more you grow with Christ, the more you also see Christ in everybody, really, to some degree. Like even the people that are demons or demonic, like these people just haven't been able to flip that page. They're just going through the same chapters over and over and over again. They're living in loops. They're living in the same kinds of chapters. And instead of turning the page to a new book or a new chapter, they choose to be in the same ones, because to go to that next one, sometimes people don't want to know how the story really ends. And that's something that you just have to recognize in other people and accept, that not tolerate, okay, because there's a difference between being tolerant of other people and accepting other people. There's a difference there. There's a difference between being tolerant and accepting. Well, what is that difference? Well, being tolerant means that you are, in a way, disrespecting yourself and letting yourself be taken advantage of in one way, shape, or form or another. At least that's the way that I see the word tolerance, because I think it's an ugly word. I really don't like the word tolerant, because that's what a lot of Christians preach is, oh, we need to be more tolerant. We need to be tolerant of people's ideas and experiences. It's like, no, we don't. No, we do not. We do not need to be more tolerant. We need to be more open to spirit and truth. Tolerant is, in a way, you're also like putting yourself on a pedestal. You're like, oh, well, I'm tolerant of their ideas because, well, like I know the truth, and they don't. You're not focused on Christ in those instances. You're not focused on, and I get it. Like I've had the spiritual ego, so to speak, is what I call it, the spiritual ego, where, oh, I'm so spiritual. I'm so advanced now that I'm flipping all of these new chapters of life. I'm so this, I'm so this. And it's like, that's not the way to think, because you're still putting yourself in a trap. You're still putting yourself in a cocoon rather than allowing yourself to live out what you need to through the cocoon and emerge. I was going to say as a butterfly, but that's super corny, but you guys get what I'm saying. You guys get what I'm saying here. The point is that you're going to emerge as something new in this new chapter. But it takes the recognition of what actually is happening in real time in this life to get to that point. It takes a recognition and a sense of humility, and also, I would say in many aspects, righteous indignation, because you might not be angry enough. For example, it's tax day here in America. And in the Telegram channel that I have, that's free, by the way, links in the description box below, I put out a message earlier talking about tax day and how if you got a tax return over the past year or whatever after filing your taxes, what you really got was your money back sent from the government, and you're being taken advantage of, though. And it's not really all of your money that you're getting back. You know why? Well, I'll tell you why. Because if you don't pay your taxes and you're late for your taxes, the amount of interest that accrues compounds daily. However, you've been lending money to the government for a year, at least just for this tax month or this tax year, right? You've been lending money for a year to the government. And even if you wanted to charge interest on the amount of money that you're being taxed, you'd be incarcerated. But so you can't even do that. But you're not even we're not even allowed to have a reciprocal relationship with our government. And so many people just are like, "Oh, I got my tax return." It's like, no, people stole money from you still, man. Like, people are stealing money from you. It's not like you didn't get a tax return. You got stolen from. People are literally taking 20. Let's just take an example. Here's a metaphor. People are taking 20 apples from you and giving you back like 10 and saying, "Oh, now you don't get to go to jail." What? Like, what? You stole from me, man. You stole from me. You stole my apples. But that's not how people see it, because they're just still in the simulation, okay? This is part of waking up to the simulator, is seeing through this kind of BS. It's seeing through this kind of crap. So you got to be mindful about this, and that kind of stuff takes righteous indignation. If you're not upset about how the government is treating us and all this stuff, like, I'm not saying you have to devote your entire life to it, but holy cow, to be on good terms with the government is, to me, like sleeping with the devil. And I don't say that lightly, and I don't just say that to say that. I mean that, because they are oppressing us way more than we give them accountability for. And it just is what it is. I mean, it's the same thing with society, right? But and I'm not trying to be, like this isn't that kind of video, but it is the case that we are oppressed more so than we think. And if we don't have the gall to flip this new page and to start that new chapter and to go into uncertainty, go into the unknown and experience that adventure, we're never going to get to where we really need to go anyway. So with all that being said, I do hope that this video was insightful or edifying for you for some way. and in some way, shape, or form. I do have the new Godlike Mastery Initiation program that I'm doing for the Regal Change brand. I'm only accepting like 5 people per month for this, okay? And I've already got spots filled up for this month. So that's going to be a new addition. It's going to be basically a whole life overhaul. And it's going to be for people that have the financial resources and the time to do this, okay? It's not just for anybody. However, if you do want to do one-on-one consultations or sessions, then I do have a general one-on-one option that we can do as well. Those are the only kinds of one-on-ones that I'm doing anymore. Okay, I used to do like workshops for the Godlike Savage workshop, but that's only in the Regal Change Academy right now. The Regal Change Academy is a paid community, and we also have the meditation workshop, the Godlike Savage workshop in there. We have a bunch of other like entrepreneurial classes and resources, AI optimization. We are starting a new class series in a week or two from here, and probably 2 weeks actually, before we actually start. I'll start announcing it more next week on what we're going to be doing, but for the next class. But we have a bunch of other classes and resources. We have weekly calls in there as well for the Regal Change Academy. But if you're definitely looking more for a non-group setting, like you want to get down and into the details, like the one-on-one is going to be definitely for you then. And I do appreciate everybody moving from the YouTube platform over to X, Rumble, and Instagram. I appreciate everybody's extra support there as well. And I do appreciate everybody tuning in, dropping a like or a comment on these videos. It does help me a lot, because that's the best way to support. If you don't have the funds or anything like that, but you want to show support, that's the best way to do so. And with all that being said, everybody, I hope everybody has a blessed rest of your day. Peace be with you. Until next time.